As most of you already know, I've interviewed and continue to interview many on their near-death experiences. Well, now there's an entire documentary out in theaters now called After Death. If you're ready to come down the rabbit hole with me on the afterlife and firsthand profound out-of-body experiences and so much more, I guarantee you will not leave the same. Welcome to Soul Spa University, where your souls can run free and your minds are free to expand. Today, I'll be covering my firsthand experience and knowledge on near-death experiences, the afterlife communications, out-of-body experiences, and so much more. But first, please don't forget to like, so to help my channel survive out here. Share to help awaken and warm the hearts and soul of others to remember who they truly are, and subscribe so you have me in case you need me, as well as to not miss out on the next video. And please feel free to look through my variety of playlists we have so far. Also, a reminder, there is a donation link in the description box. If you get anything out of this at all and would like to give back, my heart is so illuminated when I realize someone somewhere is listening. Also, a quick reminder that I happen to offer a variety of services if anyone's interested, also in the description box. Death doulaing, teaching you how to become your own medium, law of attraction coach. I taught classes for over 18 years now, and so much more. Any physical ailments you have going on or anything in your life, we can usually cure on the spot, and I facilitate you knowing how to do that for yourself as well. So healing, and many, many, many other things. All right, so there's a movie out right now called After Death. Yeah, so I'm thrilled about this because it's reminding people of who they truly are. We are so much more than what we ever thought we were. So basically, all right, to elaborate on this, we came to this life actually knowing more than we do now in a way. And through life, more and more filters were put on us. Things were sort of shut down, for the sake of us honing in on what's going to help us survive or not. These things are called paradigms. So I'm here so that you can awaken. And if you're already awakened, that's great. To me, it's you're continuing to awaken until you transcend to the other side. But basically, our beliefs create our lives, and most of the beliefs we have may or may not be true. True or not, it's making it true in your life. So it's always good to question what's working for you, what's not working for you, and never think, well, it's because of this. It's okay, because everything is changeable, everything. But anyway, so we'll probably get back to that later. Yeah, so okay, so I'm familiar, with, sorry, I was just looking at my bullet points and I don't know how to edit yet. So I'm really sorry, guys. If you're still here, you're really special to me. Okay, so I'm familiar in the documentary with Mary O'Neill's story. I remember her. She was one of the first books I bought over 20 years ago on near-death experiences. She's a doctor, which makes it all the more fascinating. She Yeah, so yeah, I love that she's a doctor. So yeah, I'm very familiar with her story. She actually didn't even want this to be true, because of something, I'm not going to spoil it, but because of something she was told in the afterlife that she didn't want to have true. Also, being a doctor, very inconvenient for her to have to carry out this thing now. She was sort of shown an itinerary of what she has to do for the remainder of her life, and she wasn't that excited about it. So most people that have passed on, don't want to come back. That is actually a relief for me to hear, It's because of personal reasons. I've lost both parents very early on in life, and sometimes I'm a little upset that my mom didn't come back because I've heard of people that do come back for their kids. So it makes me think, what am I? But we'll get more to that later. This video is going to be profoundly more helpful for you than you've ever imagined. So stick in there with me. Obviously, when I flow, everything's fine. But when I go back to my bullet points, there is a structure I'm following here. And I'm sorry about the rustiness of that. Okay. So here's what's interesting about Mary O'Neill's story. What I love about it is that she does say she becomes conscious. She never felt like she died. She felt like she went from conscious to more conscious, alive to more alive. This truly resonates with me. More on that later, but this is amazing. However, I'm going to tell you at the end of the video why your time here is so important as well. But the most fascinating thing I've heard about near-death experiences, because I interview many people on it, and I've heard hundreds. So here's what's interesting. They actually, a lot of them have a trade afterwards, where I guess because they didn't want to come back, they actually are really depressed here. They go through a really hard depression here after they come back. And usually I'm really good at understanding all parties, but that was an interesting challenge for me, because in my scope, as I see a ladybug right now, very interesting. In my scope, I'm thinking, didn't this awaken you? Aren't you excited knowing you're going there at the end of your life? And why not bring that light to the rest of the world, live out your truth, and realize what matters and what doesn't matter anymore, and what you can let go of as a result, right? But no, they experience a really, really down depression afterwards. And I'm not judging that at all, because I've had 2 near-death experiences, and I did not have the clouds or anything, but I'm fascinated by people that do. But I've had many profound experiences that I'll share a little here. And if you want to know more, there's more on my channel, and I'll continue to share more in future videos. But basically, I always wanted that whole actual near-death thing. People that I've interviewed firsthand actually tell me that I've had a near-death experience, and that basically they shielded it so I forgot most of it. Because I guess some people bargain, okay, I'll go back if I could remember things. Well, I think they're right. I think there's stuff real deep in there that, like, I just sort of know. So, because a lot of people I've interviewed just never experienced anything like me before. And I don't know what they're talking about, but they know what they're talking about because they can see energy now. And a lot of people think I'm more real deal in terms of psychicness and purity and all that stuff than the people in Lilydale, which are supposedly a whole population of psychics. I'm not here to say any of that. I don't claim to be a psychic at all. And I'll get into my abilities and how you can have such abilities at the end of this video. But the depression thing, where people come back and they're depressed, that always fascinated me because of what I've told you. And the only thing I could relate it to, and again, not judging, because who knows, but the only thing I could relate it to is this profound experience I had that was a little more complex than that. And here's how it goes. Okay. Here's how it goes. This is real complex. And I don't know if this is like the obstacle course to go through. Whereas if I did have an NDE, I wouldn't be like going through what they went through because of this other experience. But all right, guys, it's story time. This is going to get real deep, real weird, real quick. How do I sum this up? I had an awakening when I was 22 going into 23 age, which I'm not sure what sparked what, but long story short, as you already know, I've lost both parents when I was younger. I was in custody of people that hated me. I was such a polite, sweet kid, but I was never going to be as good as their kids, and what have you. And I was actually going through kind of a divorce at 22, and all sorts of things, where although when I lived in Florida and was married in my late teens, I did eventually dabble with communicating with my mom, writing down what I thought she was saying. I was highly embarrassed that I told my then husband such a thing years later. Until years later, and I'm cleaning my apartment and I hear on the radio automatic writing, and I just knew what it was. And more on that kind of stuff that gets enhanced at the end of this video, and I'm going to show you how to do it for yourself. But aside from that, and talking to my dad after he passed when I was younger, and trying to tell my mom that he was still around until those gifts got shut down by an aunt that told me I was hurting my mom, which I would never do in my life. But I think she thought my mom being touched and crying was that, and it terrified me. I would never want to hurt my mom. Who does? So aside from that kind of stuff, I wasn't awakened. You know what I mean? Like I was still in the trenches of life, just going through it, just trying to be on my own at this point in Mount Vernon, trying to get through my college that I putting myself through, and New York, on your own, right? Okay, let me sum up. I met what I later knew was a twin flame. I didn't know the term. This wasn't a thing back then. Okay. And I never felt the way I felt in my life towards anybody except for this person. So this was very foreign to me. I just, everything made sense. It was like life was in color again. It's like as if I lived in 2D and now I'm in 3D where things are, I mean, it has symptoms that you will think you're crazy unless you hear the term twin flame and look up stuff about it. Well, that wasn't a thing yet. And the internet was barely a thing, not like it is now. We're talking 2008. So, so something happened actually. And I don't know if meeting him sparked an awakening or if I was awakened and then I met him. I'm not sure. But at one point, he went on vacation shortly after we met. And I was actually speaking very positively about him to a family that raised me. And I stared off into the corner of the room. I said, I know you guys don't understand. I would trust my kids with this guy. And I stared off into the corner of the room. And all of a sudden, it was like a vision. It was like, and I saw him on a beach looking off into the ocean. And then all of a sudden I looked into the horizon and another vision, this one in shades of blue. And it was realer than here. And forgive if technology starts to give out, because when the energy gets powerful, alarms go off and what have you. But basically, this was the most realer than life, realer than here experience that I've ever had. It was, I just saw like parts of an arm, parts of a body, moonlight shining on this person. And with every inch I was seeing, it was like the amount of love I felt, the amount of love I felt towards this being was insurmountable. I didn't know that existed. And I was like, who is it? I just kept seeing parts. And he was looking off, it's nighttime, into the ocean. And, I just saw parts of this person. I'm like, who is this? And I just loved him unconditionally. And eventually, I saw freckles, this, that, and I said, God, is that him? And yeah, it was who I now know as my twin flame. And I just felt the energy. He was so happy. And all of a sudden, I didn't think I could get any more love than that. And when I tell you, if I had more time, you'd really know how I felt. I used to not be able to tell the story without just faucet of a face, because I've never felt such a thing in my life. I saw this other little arm on his arm, and it was images of, I felt world universes more love for this little being he's holding in a diaper, and insurmountable. Like, I didn't even know you could beat the love I had for this man, or whatever I was feeling. And then all of a sudden the baby, it was like universes more. I was blown, and I was just in this timeless state, just like, oh my. And I just eventually, I don't know how much time passed or didn't, I felt like I was in heaven. I was like, I felt the energy of his happiness as he's looking off into the ocean at night, and he's staring, he's smiling, and he's so happy holding this baby, looking at something, and I'm like feeling his happiness, like he's so happy. And I'm like, what is he looking at? I looked into the ocean, and there's a girl frolicking in the waves. They weren't rough waves, but you saw the stars, the moon reflecting on the ocean, and she's frolicking. She's so free. She's in a bikini and so free. And I'm looking at her. I feel the energy of her freedom. And I was like, wow. And forgive me. I was just there's this is as far as I ever got in the story without this happening. So props. Anyway, and I was basically like, wow. And I was so happy for her. I was like, who I felt her freedom and everything. And she kept looking back at him, and she had this wet hair that was like curly because it was wet. And basically, I was like, wow. And I felt her freedom. And I said, I was thinking, who is that? And I looked closer. And as I looked closer and looked at her face, I realized it was me. The minute I realized it was me, it went back to him, looking off into the beach, like maybe with colors during the day or whatever, and then back to me in that room. And I remember I was just like, wow. And at the time, I went into the kitchen and smoked a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but I did. And I thought, wouldn't it be crazy if he had the same vision? Because I wasn't controlling the vision. Do you know what I mean? I'm a pretty creative person. When I used to work out, I'd create music videos on my head automatically, and they were amazing, right? This, I wasn't in control of any of it. This was realer than life. This was beyond anything I've ever had. And at that moment, he texted me. And it was at a time that's pretty synchronistic to me. It was three numbers. The time that he texted me was three numbers that is representative of my parents on the other side now, and my former address that I once had with a family that is now almost all dead, pretty much. So anyway, but it was before I knew all that. So this was foreign to me. This was foreign. And his phone number also had all those numbers in it. Anyway, he came back from vacation. He had to see me right away. During his time back, he said three different things to me that made me wonder. The first was he had to see me as soon as he got back, and we were in his basement, and his head was on my lap, and a baby commercial came on, and he hugged me close. I thought, but I didn't let that really seep into my consciousness because maybe, I don't know, you know. The second is I was at his place of work, and he said, what's your natural hair color? And I said, I don't know. I was like, I was born blonde. And then eventually, as he's walking away, just, I don't know, he was saying, was it ever darker? I basically was like, I mean, it's dark and curly when wet, not thinking anything of it. And he froze. He froze and was like, and I was like, yeah, isn't everybody's? I mean, there were other really weird, profound things happening with us, but whatever. The third thing was, he literally said at one point, imagine if we were having the same, he literally said, did you have any visions when I was away? And I said, yes. And he said, imagine if we were having the same one and we were telepathically speaking. And I was like, imagine. Now, At the time, my consciousness couldn't fit it in, and I was actually very distracted because we had gone on a date that went really weirdly wrong. It made me confused. Twin flames are perfect soulmates, but in the world and the earth we live in, we have human things that both get in the way of everything. It's kind of catastrophic. So it throws you off. It's not like a normal person you're dating that, oh, okay, I guess it didn't go right. Oh well. Like this is like I actually met my soulmate. What's going on? Why is this like that? Especially before you're awakened. Well, here's the thing. Here's where it gets back to the near-death experience. Um, it obviously went catastrophically wrong because it's a twin flame thing. So I was left by the end of that summer thinking I was crazy. And that song, Losing My Religion, never had so much meaning to me in my life. Now, and it's 1,000,000% true. Now, I personally still love God and Jesus. I bring Christ with me everywhere in the Holy Spirit. And whatever you believe is great. Um, so did I completely lose my religion? No, but in a way I did because I awakened and I'm not bound by all the rules they may have written for that religion per se. I mean, if you ask me about it, I'm probably agreeing most for myself, but I'm not denying anybody else's religion, which is probably against things. I'm also I probably believe in things that probably have nothing to do with that religion because as a result of that time, I am now awake and talking to you with many more abilities than I've ever had. And we'll get to that at the end because you can too. But my thing is this: back to near-death experiences. They come back and they're depressed after being, in this amazing paradise. And I'm like, see, what's confusing to me is this: they know they're going there. So, guys, if you're going through this, know that you're going there and that your time is so important here. And we'll get to that soon again. On the other hand, it's not as if I saw heaven and came back and know I'm going there. I experienced the closest thing I've ever had to heaven by far. But instead of knowing I'm going there at the end, I feel like I'm freaking crazy. At the time, there was no twin flame term, where when you look it up, all the crazy symptoms you've ever experienced match up to that one person. At the time, there wasn't people talking about it. So at the time, metaphysics and awakening and all these things were not a thing. I mean, you think I'm fighting against the current now, trying to help expand consciousness and leading edge and going against the grain and risking anything anyone's ever thought of me for the sake of the collective and for the sake of awakening others. I mean, you think that's hard now. Imagine, could you even imagine back then when I had like I looked like so that I did go into a very dark night of the soul, trying to recoup from it. I literally started taking like migraine medication just to like, and that didn't go well. It just didn't go well. The point is, like, I didn't know what that was. And I thought I just had a taste of paradise or another world or something. And now I'm in this world where this guy hates me and I don't know why, you know? So I'm just saying, from my point of view, could you imagine how that feels to somebody? It would be a different story if I crossed over, experienced the afterlife, came back, and it's like, it's not your time yet, but you'll be back. If I knew I was going back, I'd be illuminated and awakened and helping people from the get. But I didn't know what the hell was happening. So I did experience probably the depression that they're feeling and possibly worse. But I don't know because I'm not them. Because at least they know they're getting there. But I did experience being in this other amazing, I don't know if it's a reality, I don't know if it's a world. And trust me, if you ever hear me talking about alternate realities, which gets crazier later on, I'm never really referring to that. There's something else that happens to me later that helps me realize how to utilize, as crazy as it sounds, alternate realities for people's good, because it helped cure me of, it helped add things to me that were thrown off from me experiencing my parents dying and stuff very young. So, so that was so profound to me, and it was during a breakup that I incorporated into my practice now with clients. But I feel out what soul needs what. But anyway, so that's the only thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I really think I did have. It's like I don't think it was a near death experience, but it was some sort of out of body experience that was pretty real. Because for me to go through that down after is pretty much what they describe when they come back to Earth. But what's hard for me to understand about it is that they know what they experience, they know that they're going there. With me, I just had to be left with literally nothing and like, who am I? And like, what just happened? Am I okay? Like, because look at the world around me and how he's reacting, you know. So you know what, maybe if I was awake enough at the time and I actually said, yeah, I did have this vision, something would have connected, it would have been great. I was disillusioned by my own human stuff that I was distracted by, and I was like, imagine I couldn't even fit it in my consciousness. Now I can, and I've accepted it. I consider myself a retired twin flame. And I've made a comedic video if anybody's interested about twin flames. Back to the afterlife. So those of you that are depressed as a result of passing over and coming back, number one, please contact me. I would love to have you on this channel. I know I have a pretty small platform at this point, but I would love to share whatever I have for you to get your story and your truth out. But number two, and more importantly, just know that your time here, and you probably already know this, but in case you don't, your time here is so important. Know that it's okay, because at least you know where you end up. At least you're not scared like most people of death. And that's why I'm glad this documentary came out, so that people don't have to live their life scared. However, make sure you utilize or be grateful. I know it's hard at times, the life we have here. Trust me when I say I know it's hard, and I'll get to that later. But that birthed gifts, quote unquote, in me, which are also in you, and that's why I'm going to get to that. But if you're upset that you're still here or whatever, your time, and even if you never experienced the afterlife, if you're depressed, your time here is so valuable. And this doesn't mean you have to do this and you have to do that. No. If you're depressed, don't put pressure on yourself. But know this: every second, every minute, and every hour, and everything that you spend on Earth time-wise, and the sun is so bright right now, so that's how I know it's true what I'm saying. But is so, so important to the world, to your soul. And this isn't airy fairy, like I pulled this out of my, okay? This is something that is true, okay? It is so, so, so important, because the eternal gems your soul is getting from every thing you are learning, whether you realize you're learning it or not here, just from any experience here, whether even if you're sitting on the couch for months, the eternal gems your soul's getting from that is beyond what you could possibly fathom humanly at this point, and far outweighs any temporary, humanly perceived discomfort you may be experiencing. I know it seems eternal when you're going through something and it hurts so bad. I get it. But we're only here temporarily, and the gems you're getting from all the time you serve here are eternal. Trust me, it's worth it. Okay. I may have actually covered things. Oh, yes. So basically, always remember, okay. I don't even know where to go from here. I have a couple notes. But always know that this is another reason I'm so grateful for this documentary being out, because it'll help open people and awaken people to knowing that once you start awakening, you're going to know other things, that you're never alone. You are literally never alone. And don't be self-conscious about it, because their point of view on the quote unquote other side is not like what you're thinking at all. Don't worry about that. And you are loved. Don't let this world and the illusions, this world and social media and all this stuff makes you think, doesn't mean it's true. You know, yes, our thoughts and beliefs create a reality, but that doesn't mean our thoughts and beliefs are true. And you are not your thoughts and beliefs. So here's something that some people may be going through. Actually, a lot of people go through this. So let me just put this out there, especially before the holidays. And if you want any more help on this, there is a video I have out right now on my YouTube channel for the holidays, where if you're going to counter your family, like anger management skills and stuff like that, and not just this habit. And trust me, they're not the skills you're finding on the pamphlet. They're not the skills they're handing out. Trust me. These are different. They work. Anyway, but yeah, no, take whatever help you want, and whatever you're drawn to, great. Congratulations for even wanting to help yourself, right? But okay, so here's the thing. This is a way to help transmute your anger. I'm just going to give you a little tip real quick. So sometimes we're triggered, right? And for me, I was at times triggered. It's rare, but sometimes triggered by, this is unfair. And you know what? To anyone else that I've told scenarios to, they would say 1,000,000% unfair, and they'd want me to fight for it. But here's what helps. Although I went through a lot of tragedies that I didn't even mention here, but a lot of things, what always got me through was always knowing that someone else out there has it worse, and having compassion for them. However, so that's what helped me get through. However, if you don't have the room for that in your, say, ego right now, that's understandable, and that's where you're at. So here's another thing that'll help. The whole unfairness trigger, what came to me recently is that fairness is actually a human construct. Now, if you're ready for this, keep watching, and either way, you're going to want to stay till the end. But if you're not ready for what I'm about to say, that's totally fine. Maybe one day, and don't worry. But this is what I'm going to tell you, because I'm here to speak truth. So fairness is actually a human concept, a human structure concept, because on a very deep level, on a very deep spiritual level, we signed up for all of it. That doesn't mean you can't change your mind at any time. Use law of attraction to get yourself out of anything. That's what I'm here for you. But everything we did, everything you went through, not only did you get eternal gems for it, but you signed up for it. Because think about it. We came from heaven. It sounds crazy, but we did. So everything was already perfect up there and everything. We came down here for experience and to earn these eternal gems, right? Think about if everything was exactly the way you wanted in life. Yes, I help people get there through manifestation, but if it was completely perfect all the time, no matter what, if you really get down to it, you might be depressed. People need a little something, a little contrast going on. Now, I want to feel like I need none of it, and I'll continue to feel that way. But if you really, really are honest with yourself, 1,000,000%, you'll start to see what I'm getting at. Yes, this came to me recently. Fairness is a human construct. We signed up for all of it. So know that no matter what, everything will be what you consider fair at the end. And, you know, spiritually, it's all fair, you know? So spiritually and on a true level, we all love each other. We're all going to be together at the end. And we're just playing these temporary human roles in this temporary human play called life until we transcend and we're backstage and we're actually going to the after party and hanging out, having fun for the rest of our actual lives, which is eternal. And yet everyone keeps coming back here to reincarnate. There's a reason for that. So contrast or not, you're getting a lot of eternal gems from it. You signed up for it. I know it's controversial, but it's a way to look at it too that might help subside your anger. And like I said, I have ways to deal with such things. Please look at my life coaching list and my soul food playlist. Um, and yeah, in case that helps anybody, I hope it does. Let's see what else we got. Okay, also, I just want to say that, okay, I just want to say also that a lot of people consider me very talented with a lot of gifts in terms of intuition, um, psychic abilities, healing abilities. I've been known as a healer, a psychic, a medium. And I'm here to tell you that I'm not. I'm actually a regular person I'm a regular person who, through times where I had nothing to lose, my inquisitions have led me to enhance or awaken gifts that were already in me in attempts for inquisition, knowledge, survival, and the pursuit of wonderment of life. Deep questions kind of led me to this. So these gifts that they say I have, I just want you to know you have them. That's my belief. People say it's just me. I try to teach people how to communicate with the angels and the other side, or people that have passed on. They say it's just me, but I, in sessions, teach people how to communicate with the new angel versions of people that have passed on who were in their lives, or the higher selves of people they know, um, and and you know, God and Jesus, and that's who I follow. But if you follow somebody different, it's totally fine. Um, you know, or your higher self. So I teach these things in my sessions so that you can become your own medium. So you don't need me anymore. You can become your own healer, your own medium, and you could have me however many times you want. In fact, there's a discount for it, but because I want to help people. But a lot of times it might take just one session or whatever the person wants, really. Some people come back, honestly, just because it's fun, because they somehow got richer from it, because they got healthier, because their life is so transformative, and they just love coming back. That's what they come back for. But they don't technically come back because they need me, because I teach people. There's some people that just have one session, their life transforms, and that's it. I teach people how to become their own mediums, their own healers. I want to awaken people more and more to who we truly are. Because let me tell you, my friend, it's so much more than this. And if you think you even know half of the profound experiences I've been through, stay tuned, because you don't. There's so much more, and it gets super weird. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole with me with aliens and everything else, keep on subscribing. And due to the content of this channel, they do take my views and they do take my subscribers and they do block me from communicating with people that love me on YouTube. So it's very confusing. It's a weird algorithm. But so if you could help me out and share, and so I could kind of survive out here, that'd be great. And please check out all our playlists. And if anybody wants to have a next level, highly spiritual conversation about anything, I would love to have you on. Or if you want to get interviewed, or if you want to interview me or have a conversation on your channel, I would absolutely love that. You know, my roommate partner, you know, circumstances kind of made it so we lived together. So he kind of ended up on this channel a lot, and I absolutely love him for it. But the conversations when I, you know, release a profound gem that'll uplift anyone that's listening kind of falls flat with that person. So not the best side of me on the typical videos. So that's why I'm going to do more solo videos like this, where I am who this is more of a accurate portrayal of who I am. Although if you followed me in real life, I think you'd be laughing the whole time, because I'm definitely from New York. I definitely live here, and it definitely shows, which is kind of why I want to move to the South because, you know, although I'll try to fit in down there. And so that I just like their lifestyle a little more. That's just me for now. Because it's stressful sometimes in New York. But so yeah, definitely real life human qualities to me. So trust me, guys, I'm not any more special than you. I have facilitated access to higher knowledge and higher faculties as a result of my inquisitiveness that has led me to have to practice these skills during many times where I had nothing else. I had no one to turn to. I felt really alone in life, and there's a lot of hard stuff that happened. But yeah, in all of it were profound, amazing diamonds of gems that I can't wait to share with you here so that you, no matter what you're going through in life, will always know there's a gem at the end of it. And in terms of eternally, many gems, all colors, colors we can't even imagine. I'd love to stay with you guys if you're still with me. I absolutely love you. I have to run. My roommate's about to wake up. But I also want to tell you that we actually taped for um, a whole year of episodes that are on a whole other channel we created, which is entirely different from this, just for people that also have a human side to them, called Cottage Comedy Barn. And basically, what it is that I had to move in with my coworker because of unfortunate circumstances, and we had to downsize a lot. So it's a lot of life hacks about how to make use of small spaces, how to organize with little to no money. It basically, the whole channel is dedicated to saving you time, energy, money, and health, and all sorts of things like that. So, in fun, creative ways. And it's comedic. The whole channel is completely comedic. So, the reason why I only have one video explaining it on there so far is because I'm going to have to learn certain tech that I'm not looking forward to. But each video is only about 5 to 8 minutes. So when I start releasing it soon, you're really going to enjoy it. So make sure you subscribe so that that doesn't get lost on you forever. All right, guys, I love you so much beyond what you can imagine. You are loved beyond what you could imagine. You are always surrounded that from people that have passed on in your life, whether it be friends or family. If you ever had quote unquote not good relations with someone in this life and they passed on, they're a whole different version of themselves. If you ever feel like you feel bad for whatever you may or may not have done to somebody and they passed on, they forgive you. There's a whole different version of themselves. And in fact, it's the real version of themselves, not just this limited role they signed up for here. They're more understanding, they're more loving, they see you so much more than you ever thought they saw you here, and you can be with them anytime. So that's sort of the beauty of it. And yes, you can communicate with them anytime. It's actually better. And at the end, you're all together anyway. So there is no death, only new beginnings. Um, I would love to see the afterlife after death in theaters. However, there is a part in there that is not just about heaven or the afterlife in a good way. So I'm not going to sign up to see it in theaters. However, if you're drawn to it, go ahead. It's not in my job itinerary for this life to even look in that direction. That is not of the light for others. I only look at what's true. So it doesn't mean that what that person experienced isn't true for them. It just might be things that will probably have nothing to do with you. And as usual, it's temporary. It's temporary. And when they pray, they are rescued and brought to the light. That's always been the experience I've heard. So that's great. And I actually always have that experience when I have nightmares. And I'm not talking the usual oh no, I picked up smoking again, or oh no, I signed up for a class that I don't know where how to go to recurring nightmare dreams. I'm talking about apocalyptic dreams that seem very real to me. And I always protect everybody in the dream, and I always care and love for everybody in the dream. And then when it's about to be the point where I can't take it anymore and we're about to go, I turn inward for me and the other person. And I personally go to God and Jesus, and He always awakens me to this reality. Or so I think. So perhaps we do die in other realities and we wake up here and we have these memories. I don't know. But what I do know is that's why this channel exists, for inquisitive minds that want to be inquisitive and have life be their playground. And this is the spa and the playground for your soul, heart, and mind. Until next time, guys, I absolutely love you, and namaste.